And so for tonight, we're going to listen to Penny talk to Karen a little bit about her new book. And if you have any questions, please feel free to put your questions in the chat with the queue, and Sarah will be grabbing the questions and we'll ask them later on. Um, During the talk, I would appreciate it if you make yourself mute and turn off your videos so that it's easier for us to see Penny and Karen. Thank you very much. Take it away, Penny.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Well, I am beyond excited to have an opportunity to spend some quality time with Karen Phillips and to give you all who might not know her very well an opportunity to meet this up and coming author. Her first book, A Deadly Combo. I don't think that it's showing as well, but you can actually see a better copy behind Karen of the book cover. And I've known Karen for a while. She's been a member of Sisters in Crime, Capital Crimes, for quite a bit. And I kind of thought I knew who Karen Phillips was. And then at the book signing, I saw this. And Karen, would you mind sharing the little clip from the book signing with us?
Okay. Somebody has to give me the permission to
Somebody
share.
give Karen permission to share the screen.
Okay.
Okay, you should be set now.
See what happened there? So she threw 3 shots. I tried to counter her. She blocked. She came back with another left hook, another right hand. I tried to counter her again with the left. She blocked that and came back with another right hand. So 30 seconds. Sometimes when you get in emotion, you gotta look like a Jake brake for engine. You gotta slow the motor down, but the piston still want to keep flying.
So we knew something unusual was going to happen when Mike Guy, her trainer, started wrapping her hands, and then the bright red gloves went on, and we were like, okay, so this is a sign of Karen we have never seen before. So Karen, oh my goodness. So the mild-mannered book cover artist that we've always known and loved also throws a mean left hook, you know? So okay. So let's start with the basic. Karen, where were you born? How many siblings do you have? Give us the background.
Oh gosh. I was born in Oakland, California, and I had 3 brothers. Unfortunately, 2 of them have passed away, and I dedicated my book to them. And then we grew up in Martinez, California, and I moved to Granite Bay after a time. So that's where I live now.
Okay. And you're a very well-known book cover artist. You know, you have an incredible reputation to do covers that just make people go, wow. Have you always been visually creative?
Yes, I was drawing when I was a little kid, the typical unicorns, since I'm a girl. And I even illustrated my own book. I wish I could find it. I know I've got it somewhere. So I wrote stories also when I was young. And I went to school at Cal Poly San Luis Obispo and majored in applied art and design.
Okay. So it was a natural fit. Then when you came into Capital Crimes, you know, you're surrounded by all these authors, and you're a book cover artist. And so it was a natural fit. So when did you decide to add to your book cover gig by becoming an author?
When I joined Capital Crimes, it was to network for my book cover design, but I also wanted to learn the craft of writing. And it just took years. I finally had a few short stories published. That gave me the confidence. And so I started working on a novel, but it took many, many years before I was ready to publish that novel, A Deadly Combo. And thanks to all of you at Capital Crimes, and I've joined other organizations like Willamette Writers and California Writers Club. They're just invaluable.
Great way to help an author get a leg up. So, okay, we met your folks at the at one of your book signings. Your dad's a hoot. But your mom seemed a little unhappy that the mother in the story isn't present, and your dad really is. So, is a version of your mom going to make an appearance in a future book?
Yes, I need to make sure that happens to appease her.
Yes, yes, she seemed pretty unhappy about that. She was mom, she was cool about it, but you could tell she kind of felt like she got short shrift. So
Yeah,
I'm glad to hear that mom's going to get a version of herself coming up in the future.
yeah, I
So,
just have to say it's funny to me, but I'm sure it was sort of a joke and not sort of a joke with her, where she said, "Oh yeah, your dad's in the book and he's got all kinds of girlfriends and I'm dead."
yeah, funny, not funny. Yeah,
Yeah.
got it. Got it. Yeah. So, okay, so you're surrounded by all these authors and all different types of the mystery genre, noir, traditional, thrillers. Why a cozy?
Um, the idea I had when I first started writing the book was I went to a trailer fest with, all these vintage trailers. It was my first time. And oh, you guys, just so you know, Eva Lemston wants to come in the room. Anyway, it was my first time at a vintage trailer fest, and it was just a wonderful experience. All these really cute old vintage trailers, and you walked around and talked to all the owners and found out where they found their vintage trailer and all the money they put into it to bring it back to its heyday. And it was just enchanting. And I thought, what a great place to find a dead body. So it just felt like a cozy idea to me. And it just felt like it should be a small town setting with an amateur sleuth and a detective. And so it kind of just that,
Evolved.
yeah, that was the best direction, I thought.
Well, it was a lot of fun reading a book set in a locale that I recognize. I mean, you painted the El Dorado Hills area very, very well, so that those of us who live here knew it immediately where you were talking about. But people who didn't live here would also be enchanted by the setting that you put out. But reading your book, I remember thinking, it's a cozy. Everybody who wants a cozy will be happy. But for those of you out there who say, I don't read cozies, I don't really do that, I think you should check out Karen's book, because this is so much more than a cozy. The characters are multi-layered. They have a lot of depths to them. And it is the most uncozy cozy I've ever read. I think I'm safe in saying that. And why don't you read a little bit? Why don't you read chapter 1 just to give people a feel for the opening of the book?
Okay. And I do want to say, I really am not a huge cozy reader. I do read more traditional mysteries. And so that's why this is a mashup of a cozy and a traditional mystery book. Okay.
And I think both types of reader will find something for their taste to enjoy.
Good.
Okay.
Glad to hear it. Okay. This is chapter 1. The only thing on my mind was survival. I entered the ring and faced my opponent, every nerve on fire, adrenaline coursing through my veins. Cutter, a super middleweight champion, was slick with sweat and his scent filled my nostrils. He flashed me a menacing smile. The silver mouthguard he wore glinted in the overhead lights, reminding me of a black version of Jaws from the movie Moonraker. I regarded the sharp blades inked along his muscled brown arms, and fear gripped my stomach. Definitely intimidating. I put my gloves up and started dancing. Cutter moved opposite me. He feinted left, then right. When he backed up, I followed. Come on, he shouted. Take a shot. I'm wide open. I threw a left jab. He dodged it. I threw a right cross. He slipped it. We moved together in sync, fully focused, shutting out the world. It was just the two of us fighting for our lives. In the third round, I threw a double jab, trying to set up my, oops, hold on.
My next shot, but Cutter moved away too fast.
Yeah.
I continued to throw jabs, pressing him against the ropes. He put his gloves up to protect his face while exposing his torso to body shots. I let him have it, pummeling with all my might. That's all you got? Harder. I envisioned driving my fists through to the other side of his body like he taught me. I kept going, swinging repeatedly at his core. It was like pounding on a heavy bag. The bell rang. Time, Carter said. We tapped our gloves and went to the edge of the ring. It had only been 3 rounds, 9 minutes, but I was breathing hard. Blood rushed in my ears and my leg felt like jelly. I couldn't imagine going 10 rounds. I glanced around the Never Look Back gym. The show was over, and the few people who had gathered to watch us spar returned to their routines. NLB was located inside a large industrial building in El Dorado Hills, California. My dad was the original owner and recently sold it to Cutter. Dad still came in to visit. Like me, the gym was his home away from home. The old warehouse was truly my church, with Cutter speaking the gospel. It felt good to have a place to go where everyone worked towards the same end, to be the best they could be in mind, body, and spirit. Do you want to take on?
Oh gosh, I closed the file. Go for it.
Okay, Cutter held the ropes as I climbed down. Then he joined me. I took off my gloves, unbuckled the helmet, and wiped sweat from my brow. Good work, Cutter said. You were smoking. I removed my mouth guard and grinned at the rare compliment. Thanks. Cutter was stroking my ego. He'd let me take advantage of the fact he was tired from an earlier workout. He was careful with his 50-year-old female student, but not overly so. That's why I enjoyed working with him. Cutter was a good trainer. He knew how to read me, knew how far to push me, and he understood the importance of having a healthy outlet for my anger. I needed boxing. Boxing and my art were the only things keeping me sane. It was early Friday evening and the gym was filling up. On my way to the women's locker room, I ran into Frank, a guard at Folsom State Prison. The gym was popular with law enforcement officers and firefighters. There he is, she said with a smile. How's retirement treating you? So far, so good, I lied. To be honest, I was at loose ends, not sure what to do with my life. I missed the day-to-day interaction with my coworkers. I'm jealous, he said. I still have 10 years to go at the big house. I appreciated you coming to my retirement party. I'll be sure to come to yours. He chuckled. That was a fun night. Did Frost ever get up the nerve to ask you out? I frowned and shook my head at the idea. No, not that I'd be interested. Definitely not interested in dating a parolee. Thank you very much. Okay, good. Well, almost time for my shift. See you around. The setting sun cast an orange glow in the September sky. On the way home, my mind wandered. I thought of my twin sister, as I often did, when she happened to call, and my heart raced with the conflicting emotions of love and hate. I put her on speaker. Bridget, I said, excited but wary, I was just thinking about you. I can't wait to see you and Dad at the trailer fest tomorrow, she said. Uh-oh. The what? She sighed, exasperated. You forgot, didn't you? I told you about it before we left on the honeymoon. She was right. I'd totally spaced on the event. I'm sorry. Remind me again. It's a trailer fest at the Golden Oaks Winery. You know, where vintage trailers are on display to the public and you can go inside each one. I remembered seeing pictures of the 1963 Shasta she and her new husband Steve were obsessed with, as if it were their only child. It resembled an old toaster, square, with rounded corners. I'm dying to win the best of show trophy, she said, and I wanted you and Dad to be there when I do. My sister was born with high expectations. I wasn't sure I wanted to witness her meltdown if she didn't win. Is the award that important to you? Her unexpected response sent a chill down my spine. Believe me, Rocky, I'd kill for it.
Thanks, Penny.
You're welcome,
You had my
Karen.
back.
You betcha. That's what I'm here for, is to have your back. So that's just a taste of the book. Now, you told us a little bit about where the idea for the story came from. So when did you start writing the book?
Oh, I started writing the book about, 5 years ago, but I had the idea like around 7 years ago.
Okay, okay. And what most of all helped you get it over the finish line? You know, one of the things I admire so much about you, Karen, is my hero, because I've been working on a book for forever, as many of you know. And so I want to know what got you from, gosh, I have this book I want to write, and you tell everybody, I'm writing a book, to the end. What helped you the most get it over the finish line?
I know it felt like forever to get my book done too, Penny. So I know you're going to do it. I would say just a lot of classes, a lot of just getting your butt in the chair, writing through writer's block, just keep writing. Come back, circle back if you have to. If you stumble or you stop, and just plow through. Beta readers, I used about 4 beta readers, and they gave me great feedback. I'm in an accountability group that helped a lot. A developmental editor was wonderful, and a proofreader, and then one last beta reader after that who caught some things not anybody else caught.
Now, I've been hearing a lot about accountability groups. How does that work?
We meet once a week, and we have a goal as to what we would want to accomplish, by that time that we meet. And we talk about what we accomplished, and if we had difficulties, we might share some information that might help each other, and we just kind of support each other. And it really does work, because you feel like one time I said, okay, well, I'll write some, and they said, no, that's not good enough, Karen. We need a number. Okay, I'll write 1,000 words, whatever. But it's really, really helpful.
Because it's you don't want to let the group down. They're expecting 1,000 words, so you really feel like you got to come up with 1,000 words.
Right.
Okay. And we worked, Capital Crimes worked with a developmental editor. We offered that option when we were doing the anthology. So what was that like, working with a developmental editor, and what were the challenges involved in that? Because most of us don't ever get the opportunity. It's so expensive normally. Most of us don't get the opportunity to do something like that. So share with us.
Right. No, it's worth every penny. Penny.
Thank you, Karen.
She was my developmental editor was very good at reminding me to show and not tell. Like you can't say she was scared. That's just not good enough. You have to tell what the body feels like when that character is scared. Is her heart racing? Does she have goosebumps? Is it hard to breathe? Just think about the times that you've been scared out of your wits, and all the sensory detail. Put that in, because it's so important. It really helps the reader stay in that story.
Oh, cool. Well, that sounds extremely helpful. And then so okay, so now you've written the book, you've typed in the end, and now it sounds like the hard work really starts. So once the book was done, what was the most surprising thing that landed on your to-do list?
Oh, that's a good question. I think it comes like after it comes after the initial launch. That's what really surprised me, that you have to keep going out and finding new ways to get your book out there. And it's just never ending. So in the beginning, when you first launch your book, it's very exciting. Everyone's happy for you. You've told all your friends and family and even some strangers, but now you have to go outside of that group, and that's difficult. So I'm finding, like I just sent my first author newsletter. that was a big learning curve. And they say that you want to grow your email list so that, you know, when you come out with your next book, you've got an already dedicated following. And it's just something new every day I have to learn.
You know, we talked a little bit in advance of the interview because I said, what did you need to do before your first book signing? Can I share what you told me? You guys have got to
Sure.
hear this. Create an author website, create a social media for you as an author. This should be done well in advance so you can get a following. Join Facebook groups that are genre related. Submit content to Sisters in Crime and other organizations for newsletters, blogs, social media posts. Take advantage of all the opportunities to promote via these groups. Set up a pre-order for your book prior to the in-person book launch. Promote the pre-order. If your book has a strong theme, figure out a way to promote that with special swag. Karen had the most adorable little boxing glove cookies
Oh, yeah.
at the book signing, which was that Mrs. James Latoile?
It certainly was.
Yes, they were yummy too. And then it says find ways to promote that with special swag. And then she had a hair on fire Instagram post with her complete list of to-dos. So those of you who are on Instagram, see if you can find that because that has everything there and more. And then I said, can you lay out for me the process from the end to your first book signing? Order author proof copies, do a final proof, order bookmarks, order a poster on foam board and an easel, order books, have already for the bookstore for a display prior to the book launch, promote. Thankfully, the bookstore Facing the Book, which we love, did a lot of marketing. Remind everyone on social media about the event as the date gets closer. Contact people personally and invite them to the launch. Buy a pen that's good for signing. Practice signing a book. Hire a photographer and videographer. Practice your presentation and get your hair done. Oh my goodness, you guys. You thought once you wrote the book, you were done. No, you're just getting started. So, okay. So, Karen, are you a pantser or a plotter?
I'm both. At first, I outlined and I thought I was a plotter. But as I worked through the story, I realized that I was discovering things about the characters and directions that they could go that changed my outline slightly. So I feel like you have to be flexible. I think, you know, I'm both. I don't know how somebody could be one or the other, but, you know, without a blend. And gosh, wouldn't the world be a better place if we were all open-minded and flexible?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, so
Absolutely.
I really enjoy the journey as I'm writing the story to explore and discover and be surprised. And it's actually a lot of fun and really exciting. That was a surprising thing, you know, when you asked me earlier what things surprised me, that the joy of writing and the discovery surprised me.
Um, it sounds like you're working really, really hard, but just having an incredibly good time as you're doing it along the way. So, so I know a lot of people have a love-hate with social media. Okay, but for an author, it sounds as if there's no getting around it if you want to get your book out there.
Right. I know. I was hardly ever on Facebook before, and now I'm on there all the time. And yeah, I don't see how you can get around it.
So, what are your suggestions for doing social media, Zooms, podcasts, blogs as a debut author?
Well, you have to know your target audience. Like, for instance, I might try TikTok, but it's not a priority because I know my readers are older. So Facebook is more appropriate. Um, so yeah, think about your target audience and put your energy on that platform. Um, Blogs, I did quite a few blogs, and those are really important when you're first launching your book. And make sure that you choose a blog that is appropriate again to your target audience. For instance, I did Great Escapes Cozy Mystery Tour, and that was really really beneficial. But then I did one with more of a romance writer group, and that was a really bad decision because she gave me a really good review, but it was, I think, 4 stars, and she has given some other people 8 stars. It's like because they wrote a romance book. So you just really have to be careful, the blogs that you go on, and make sure they have a good following. If they don't, you're not going to get any comments, you're not going to get any views. And podcasts are good too, same kind of thing.
Right. Fantastic. Well, there's so much, when you're just getting started. I mean, it's got to feel just incredibly overwhelming. Now, you mentioned that it was really helpful having the support of Sisters in Crime and Capital Crimes. When did you join? You are a member of Guppies, right?
Right.
And MWA. MWA, for someone who's just getting started, feels like only really established. You're on your second or third book, people join MWA. How is that helpful, being a member of MWA for you as a debut author?
Thanks, Penny, but I haven't joined them yet.
Oh,
I know. I should, and I will. I'm with Willamette Writers, Sisters in Crime, California Writers Club, and in fact, George Kramer's here. He and I are going to do a library, or we're going to do a presentation at a library together in October. So that'll be really fun. And that's a whole nother learning curve, is how to get into libraries as a speaker. I did one with Ray James at the Woodland Library, and that was fantastic because they know how to draw people in. So I'm hoping for another, exciting attendance at this October event.
it's great to have, because a lot of people get their books from the library. And I suspect that authors feel, well, if you're getting it from the library, you're not buying it from me. But that's kind of short-sighted, because if you can get your book in the library system, when you think about how many libraries are out there, if each one brought one copy of your books, that's a lot of your books being sold.
Right, right, definitely.
So that part is really good. So you've written the book, and now you get to design the cover for your book, your very own book. Tell me what that was like.
I did actually consider hiring a cover designer just to see what that whole process would be like on the other side. But I thought, gosh, if I can save some money, because it's an investment, cover design, formatting, developmental editor, proofreader, all that. So I came up with what I felt was a good representation of what my book is, which we talked about earlier. It's a blend of cozy and traditional mystery. So it has a little bit of cozy with the typeface that I used in the title. And the rest of it is kind of traditional. It sort of hints at the darker content that's in the story, but the story isn't real dark. It's just not a typical cute, cozy kind of a story. Cindy Sample said that there's a term being batted around, cozy noir. So you might think of my story as a cozy noir.
But it's, your dad often provides the comic relief. There's a part where you're out to dinner at the casino, and Rocky says, "My head filled with the theme music from Dad's favorite old radio show, The Shadow. Who knows what evil lurks in the hearts of men?" The maniacal laugh that followed gave me goosebumps. I looked at Dad. "What do you think?" Dad waved at the waiter who was already heading towards us. He set the menu down. "I think I'll have the filet mignon, medium rare." Yeah. It's very fun. And yet your character, Rocky, I'm gonna find this real quick, because she has such um she's dealing, it's a story about families. It's a story about relationships between mom and daughters, dads and daughters, and siblings, and not just siblings but twins. And so you walk a really fine line between showing her as a strong I mean, there's one part in here where the guy says, you can't just keep hitting everybody you meet. You need therapy. And the sister says, oh, she's had therapy, believe me, you know. And yet by the same token, I love this. Rocky is was doped. And she says she wakes up on the floor of the bathroom at her home and she says, a voice as delicate as angel wings calls my name, her voice. I hover at the edge of consciousness when my mother's voice yanks me back to the present. I open my eyes and study the toilet base, trying to make sense of what happened. I trembled, not from the cold tile pressing against my cheek, but from the knowledge someone was trying to harm me. I close my eyes again and try to reconnect with Mom. I know she is with me. I strain to hear the tune she always hums as she moves through the house doing mundane chores. Her perfume floats in the air and I breathe deep, feeling her love radiate from my heart to warm the rest of my body. Her love surges through me, giving strength and a renewed sense of purpose. My heart fills with a passion for life, foreign in its intensity, as though a warrior now possesses my soul. Oh, Karen, she's she's a real person. Um, I'm in love with her, but she's someone I can admire, but not, you know, up on a pedestal, unobtainable. Um, her both her and her sister, their relationship, they're close, but you know, there's a saying, um, of course, your family can push your buttons. They're the ones that sewed them on. You know, she you get that in this, and it's really, really, really nicely done. If you haven't had a chance to read A Deadly Combo, go out and get it right now because you're going to really enjoy it. It's a great
Uh,
read. It's a
oh,
great
thanks for
read.
reading that section. I'd kind of forgotten it. Sometimes it's interesting to hear somebody else read what you've written because you're like, oh, hey, that wasn't too bad. And you know, one of the things I wanted to ask the writers in tonight's meeting is when you have written your first book and then you go to write your second book, or gosh, maybe you're on your sixth book or whatever, right before you start writing it, do you feel like a hack? Do you feel like, you know, the other books or the one book that you first wrote was a fluke? And I started feeling that very strongly, but I realized that once you start writing, you get right back into it and it's you're fine. So if you just do the work and power through, you know, it'll be fine. But boy, that was another surprising thing. Talk about, you know, things that I've learned that surprised me.
What, having imposter syndrome?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I you know, I don't know that I personally, I think there's a danger when you start believing your press and you think you are as good as everybody says you are. I think that imposter syndrome is kind of what keeps us humble. But that's a great segue. Do I have any questions? I have not been looking at the chat at all. Are there any questions that y'all want to ask Karen while we've got her?
So I do have a few from the chat. Do we want to turn everybody on or do we want to
Let's
just
just go
keep
ahead
it?
and turn everybody on if that's okay with you, Karen.
Great.
Okay.
Okay, and I will, while everyone's doing that, actually, and I'm going to take the spotlight off you guys too, just so we can see more faces. Oh, Penny,
I've
I'm
got to know who is
stuck.
dog.
I know, and why can I? Oh, there we go. Okay, there, now we can see everybody. And I will read the questions from the chat and then people can maybe feel free to speak up, unmute themselves. But I don't know if you're comfortable saying, but somebody did want to know who you used as the developmental editor.
Oh, I'm sure it's oh my gosh, I'm blanking. She's in Eileen Rendall.
Yeah. And she's a member, I think, right?
Yes, she is a
Yeah.
member.
Yeah. So yeah, and my question was, what was the hardest part for you to write?
Probably the relationship between the two sisters, because I have had brothers, but I've never had a sister. So in the beginning, when I brought the pages. I'm in 2 critique groups, and well, actually just one now, but I would bring the pages to the critique group, and I remember them saying, this doesn't sound like how sisters would talk to each other. And I was like, oh, really? So I just, because my brothers and I, we used to beat each other up a lot when we were young. And luckily, once they hurt me too badly that they just beat each other up, thank goodness. And I became the babysitter. That was my role. But as we grew older, there was a lot of love between us. So I just channeled that, and I learned to just write that relationship between the sisters coming from a loving way, but there might be some animosity and some teasing, but it was definitely, I had to pull my experience from my brothers in a loving way to make that believable between the sisters. That was probably the hardest thing.
Well, you did a good job. Jessica complimented you, and she said that felt so authentic, that sister
Thank
relationship.
you.
So yeah. And let me see. The newsletter, somebody asked, are you planning to use Book Funnel? Are you familiar with that at all?
I am using Book Funnel, and other writers remind me, is that the way that you get your copies to, like, your ARCs to readers in a protected way? Jessica's nodding yes. So that's a good, that is part of the tool, one of your tools in your toolkit.
It's a newsletter promotion program.
Oh, Anne. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Book Funnel. Oh, okay. I haven't used Book Funnel for my newsletter.
I haven't either, but Terry Wells Brown, do you know her? She's
No.
anyway, she gave us a talk in the San Joaquin Valley chapter of California Writers. She uses Book Funnel, and she also uses this thing called 20 books to 50K, which I know nothing about, but she thinks it's wonderful. But this Book Funnel has really inspired me to start writing a newsletter instead of a blog.
Oh, okay. I'll look into that.
Can be promoted apparently pretty easily and with a lot of success.
Well, thanks, Anne. I'll check that out. And yeah, Jessica put in the chat about 20 books to, or whatever that group is. You can join their Facebook page.
Oh, interesting.
Good.
Okay. Oh, and someone asked about the prep list, but then we commented that you're going to be presenting on in October, right? With other,
Right.
I don't have all the details, but Jennifer does. So yeah, her exhaustive list that Penny read through of all the steps that you need to do as a first-time author. But yeah, stay tuned for October, and we'll have more details on that.
And I do have the list if I could it could possibly go in as part of the newsletter if you guys had space, and because it's a pretty exhaustive list, and it's a lot to think about, just something to consider, so
yeah, that would be a fun little component, Karen. Yeah, here's all the things I had to
this
think
is all
about.
the stuff.
Yeah.
George was asking about how an accountability group differs from a critique group.
Oh, interesting question. So in our accountability group, we don't critique pages at all. We don't do anything like that. We just talk about what we accomplished and what we're going to accomplish in the following week. I mean, if we do have some pages that we want to share, we do that off the side. It's not part of the meeting. Does that make sense, George?
He's nodding.
Plus, when we do well, we reward ourselves by going out to dinner or
That's right.
Cocktails,
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yes,
Which
that's an
critique
important
groups
part.
don't normally do.
We believe in rewarding success. Yeah.
Absolutely. It's something to keep you hanging in there.
Mhm.
I had a question too that I didn't get to ask. Let's see. I was skimming real quick to make sure I didn't edge anybody out who had a question, but um, did you seek input as part of your research from experts in the field, um,
Oh yeah.
besides boxers?
Yeah. And that's the fun part again about being a writer, because you get to meet these incredible people, because you're trying to write whatever. And it's hilarious when as a mystery writer, especially if you need feedback from an expert about how you can kill someone, or, and they're looking at you like, are you for real? But they give you the information. So anyway, I worked with one of the detectives at the El Dorado County Sheriff's Office, and he was just so generous with his time and information. I also worked with a fire chief here in Placer County. So I definitely consulted experts. There was just no way I could have written it without doing that.
Right. And Dog wanted to know when you started kickboxing. Now you don't do kickboxing. What you do is traditional wrestling.
No, I do traditional boxing. I haven't done kickboxing. That's a really good workout. That'd be considered mixed martial arts. I just do straight boxing.
And how long have you been doing it, and what made you start?
I've been doing it for about 5 years, and I was in a minor automobile accident. This person T-boned me, but luckily we were both, reasonably okay. He was fine. He came over and started taking pictures, but it was really his fault. He was taking pictures of me in my car, and I had a fractured hand, but again, it wasn't that bad. And I started going to therapy for my hand. And as I was going to therapy, I kept passing this gym that said Mike Guy Boxing. And then I also heard that Jewel, the singer, took boxing lessons to keep in shape. And so I thought, well, I'm going to try this because it's kind of a, out of the box sort of a thing. No pun intended. But I started, so Mike gave me a free lesson. Oh my gosh, it was the most embarrassing thing because I didn't know anything about how to, position myself or move. But I stuck with it and I just love it.
Great. Okay. And
So I
go
had
on.
one quick one, Penny.
Go
Sorry.
ahead.
Well,
Go ahead. No.
from the list that just somebody, I think George wanted to know which library in October. And I think if we sign up for your newsletter, would we get information about things like that?
Yes.
Okay.
George and I are working on that.
Yep.
It's Pleasant Hill Library. So it's out of the area for a lot of the people on this.
With the Bay Area?
Meeting. Yeah.
Okay.
Jessica says, how did you reach out to the experts? Are they people you know?
I just cold call. Yeah.
So it is true. People want to be interviewed by authors. They
I
get
think so.
excited.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, all right. So now that we know Rocky a little better and we know Karen a little better, do you share any personal traits with Rocky?
Yes, boxing does help with my anger. I don't have like an anger management issue, but if I don't work out on that level, I get angst, I get all keyed up and tense. So that's definitely helpful. And I do art, I'm an artist, obviously, she is too. And yeah, those are kind of the basics. Like I cannot punch somebody in the face. If I really had to, I guess I would. I would hope I would if I really had to. But like Mike Guy was saying at the book launch, that I cannot punch somebody in the face during our sparring. Like he used to instruct me to punch other students in the face, and I would, generally punch at them, but I wouldn't really try to hit them in the face. So in that way, I'm not like Rocky.
Yeah, Rocky doesn't seem to have any trouble popping anybody in the face at any time who has upset her in any way, shape, or form. So Marie says, have you ever had to pop anyone like Rocky popped Maury? The answer is no. It's not,
You
it's
know,
not,
okay, I have to admit, Marie,
yeah.
this is so funny that you would ask. I did have a boyfriend who we were on and off again, and I had just had enough of him. So I drove to his house. He was not expecting me. I walked right up to him and punched him, but I missed the first time. It was so embarrassing. And then because I missed him and I had gone to all this effort, I just went ahead and punched him again. And this time I finally connected. And it was a little bit of blood came out of his mouth, and he like ran to the bathroom to look at himself in the mirror, and he was like, "You have no class." And that's a true story. Oh my gosh. I can't believe I told this in public.
I am so excited. The whole time I was reading the book, I kept wondering. And so now there is this side, I think someone commented, like, does Karen ever get angry? I think Linda commented, and I feel the same way. I always feel like you are Elastigirl, like people can pull and pull you and you never snap. So if there's any footage of this, I would pay to see it. If there's like old footage anywhere, I mean.
Yeah, that little episode or whatever you want to call it went viral in my hometown. So yeah, boy, I will never stoop that low again. But I would hope that I would fight if my life depended on it.
Okay, Karen. Now, as embarrassing as it is, though, you have to admit he had it coming, and giving it to someone who has it coming has to feel, no, being able to give it to someone who has it coming has to feel good.
I did feel good, I admit.
So there we go. Now we know the truth. It's all coming out. So, okay, you're hard at work on book 2. Can you give us any hints for what's next for Rocky?
Yes, this man comes back in their lives that they considered was an uncle. He's not blood related, but they called him uncle. And so Rocky's wondering, why is he coming back in their life now? Because he basically disappeared from their lives, and Rocky and her sister Bridget were never given an explanation. So that's going to yeah, that will be very interesting. It will evolve. And there's a dead body in the beginning, and Cutter this time becomes the suspect. So
she's protecting Cutter.
yes, because Cutter is like a brother to her.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And your mom's going to have a character so that you can go to the house again.
That will be in another book entirely, a different series.
There are 3 books in the Rocky Nelson series, right?
Yes.
So we've got the next one coming up and one after that, at least. But of course, if it takes off, who knows? It may end up being 5 or 6, right?
Right. 3 for sure.
3 for sure. So we have that to look forward to. And I want to know, now that she's starting, her therapy is starting to pay off, and she's kind of making peace with her mom and what happened there. Is Rocky going to fall in love?
There are 2 potential love interests. One is Angelo, a firefighter that she had a relationship with prior, who's newly divorced. And another is, dare I say, Detective Thompson.
Oh, I liked him. I kept hoping they would have hit it off. Well, he bought her. Okay. Yeah. He's obviously interested. So that's really cool to know. All righty. Any more questions from the peanut gallery, y'all? No? Well, okay. It's by my little clock. It's 7:53. We're supposed to stop at 8. Karen, do you have any last words of wisdom or inspiration for people who are out there who are still trying to get that first book written?
Just definitely reach out to other members in whichever writers organization you belong to. And if you don't belong to one, join. That is the best thing you can do for yourself as a writer. And just you know, reach out. Don't try to do it all yourself in a vacuum. It's not, it's going to be harder for you.
All right. Is there anybody who wants to say anything to Karen before we log off?
Just how proud I am of you.
Oh,
I watched this thing birth for the last, what, how long has it been, Penny? 3 years, 4 years?
yeah,
At
ever
least.
since you
And
joined.
You got it done. Way
Yes,
to go,
I
kiddo.
did. Thank you, Terry. Thanks for everybody's support. Really, without your support, I don't know. I don't know that I could have done it. I don't think I could have. Not as well, anyway.
Well, it's something to be proud of. You've done an excellent job. It's a wonderful book, and and as soon as I hang up, I'm going to go and put a review because I've been meaning to do that. I just haven't gotten around to it. So that's the other thing, you guys. When you read authors' books, the best way to tell them that you liked it is to leave a review. So, Jennifer, is there anything, Madam President, that you would like to say to the group before we go off on our merry little way?
No, we're good. I hope to see you guys on Saturday and for our other events.
All righty. Well, we'll miss you guys in July, but look forward to seeing you at the Tarot for Writers for the next Capital Crimes meeting that we're
On
having.
Saturday
And
with Carla Dameron on
Carla,
revision.
who's a wonderful, wonderful author. So lots of good things coming up. Thanks everybody for coming out and joining us. And keep writing, y'all. Have a
Good
good evening.
night. Thank you, Penny, Karen.
Good job, Karen. Good job, Karen. And
Thanks. Thanks for all the great comments.
Yeah, Karen, you should ask for a copy of the chat so you can see what everybody
Oh
was
yeah, because
saying.
I couldn't read it. Yeah.
Right, what everybody was saying
Yeah.
while we were doing it, because it will go to the computer of whoever is.
Oh yeah, let me try to do that.
Hello, Karen.
Yes.
Hi, this is Dean.
Dean, how are you? Late.
I'm so
comer?
good. I am so sorry to interrupt your meeting and joining so late. I had
Oh,
something come in, but
No
I
worries.
just wanted to say hello and to congratulate you on your wonderful first book.
Oh, thank you.
I want to say just real quickly before everybody leaves, Karen did the artwork for my book cover on book one, The Portal, Only an Ocean Apart. And it's a kind of an adult fantasy. And she was so great and helped me through this process as a first-time self-published author. She also helped me with book two, which is called Hollandsworth Island in the Presence of Angels, which is a continuing, trilogy, maybe a fourth book. And, she was so good at that, but she also did much more than that for me. She helped me. She read the book. She gave me some suggestions. We got to know each other. And I cannot tell everybody how great I think Karen Phillips is as a designer, but also her first book. I'm not a mystery reader. I read fantasy and other types. And I loved her book. And it kind of got me into these kind of, cozy mysteries for the first time in my life. And I can't wait to read the second book. And I just wanted to congratulate you, Karen. I mean, we've been together working for how many years now? And
A while, yeah.
I'm so proud of you for what you've done.
Thank you. Gosh, you showed up late and you just ended the meeting on a wonderful note. Thank
And
you.
I'm sorry, but I'll see you at the Elk Grove Writers Conference
Oh,
on
great, good.
September 23rd. Not only to hear about what you're doing with design, but also to hear the other excellent speakers that will be a part of that. It's been a while since I've been to a conference, and I'm looking forward to that. And anyway, congratulations. This is a great book.
Thank you very much.
Good
And
job.
Eva,
That's it for
thanks
me.
for coming.
Good night, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
Night.
Karen, you did great. You're a
did,
wonderful
yeah.
interviewee. Truly, you
Oh,
are.
thanks for saving me on
You
that.
too, Penny. Yeah, that was a really good save.
Yeah.
Yeah, you did.
You
Had
had
the
it.
book right
Yeah.
here. It was it was easy to do.
I
Easy
love
to
to
do.
listen to you read, Penny.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks, guys. Well,
Actually, that's kind of a nice way to do it too, because I enjoy it when someone else reads my work. I don't.
Yeah, and it was kind of cool how I could start and then Penny finished. Like we had it all planned.
It was
Yeah,
all
really,
planned, yeah.
that's the way we had meant to do it. We were gonna do it that
Exactly.
way. Seriously, guys. That's how we wanted it to be. That wasn't that was on purpose. Anyway. All right, everybody,
right,
stay cool. See you
bye.
guys later.